The last boss in Gears Tactics is the Hydra, but before you can even get there you have to go through kind of like a carousel around this environment, breaking these pumps before you can even get to him. This is probably the longest part of the fight, if I'm honest. What you want to try and do in this section is preserve your gears and make sure that none of them are knocked down and that they're at good health by the time you finish. So for each of the 3 pumps, you've got the first one you can see here, the other one directly opposite your starting point, and then the one over to the left hand side. Kill the enemies. You usually find one enemy runs away each time. Kill all these enemies as you go around, keeping your distance where you can. They're not particularly aggressive, and destroy the pumps as you get there. When you hit the 3rd one, this will end, and then it will trigger the actual boss fight proper. As I say, in this section you just need to preserve your gears and make sure that they're as healthy as possible. Try not to use their abilities or have them recharged if you do by the end of this, so that you can use them on the boss straight away. As soon as you get the 3rd pump, it will trigger the Hydra fight. So we get a quick cutscene and we find out the final boss is the Hydra. He works like the other bosses, he's got 3 health blocks, and you get a checkpoint after each one, including this part here. His initial opening attack during the cutscene splits your gears onto either side of the map. You can't rejoin them, so you'll be working around these middle sections. The place you want to position yourself is close to him. I'll point that out a little bit more in a second, but it's on these middle platforms. And he will always launch an attack each time that he's separated up to each side, and these red radiuses is where the attack will hit you. He also spawns enemies in alternating goes, which you need to stay on top of. Main priority is to get out of the attack radius to begin with. You can do this by either shooting off his rockets, which I don't recommend because they come back every single time, or by moving, and then you've got the rest of your goes to mount an attack and so on. The main place you want to stay is in the middle platform right in front of him, even though it does say don't get too close. And you want to hammer him in the head every single time you get him on your sniper rifle soldier's side, which is Michaela in this. Using the chain shot is really useful if you've unlocked it, because for the first successful hit you get additional action points. And there's also the ultimate shot, which you can use on an enemy to get you maximum action points. This way you can essentially wail on him each time he comes round, and he won't take too long to get dropped. I do think I'll finish him off with Sid here, but generally it's Michaela that'll do the heavy lifting. And as I say, you stay in this middle section, dodging the rockets, and use proximity mines and grenades, mines, planted mines, and covering fire, overwatch to prevent the enemies from getting close. But your priority is the enemies, and then each time he gets over to the sniper rifle side, you need to smash him with Michaela. After the first attack, you'll get more enemies, you'll get more tickers on this one. I think it saw an increase, and he also has this attack here which cripples you and reduces your movement range by 50%. It's pretty annoying because it does mean you can't get away from him as easily. What I would recommend with that is that you don't necessarily try to avoid it and just accept it as part of it, because you do have to get quite far away from him and then it has a worse impact overall. So I try to stay in the middle section and then just essentially deal with the fact that you get crippled every now and then. It can cripple both of them, but it tends to cripple the one that's closer if you do stick to the perimeters. So you can have a bit of a play around with the distances, and as I say, you do get a checkpoint. And each time he comes back round to the sniper's side, use your abilities to get the most out of her and shoot him just in the head. Again, ignoring the missiles unless you're really trapped, because they do respawn every single time. It shouldn't take too long to drop him in the second section, and once you do, he will essentially go into his final stage, which is more the same, except this time the enemies include boomers. You get a slightly reduced enemy count, but you do get the boomer. I'd recommend prioritising the attacks on the boomer, and then you get a boom shot from him, which you can use to wipe out the next enemies that come and the next boomers that arrive. You can see in this bit that I managed to pretty much push the boomer into the doorway before he even got out. Again, use your sniper rifle to be the main damage dealer to Ukkon, just targeting the head unless you can't get out of the area. This last section I did very quickly because I think I had a couple of gears downed both times that I'd done this, and it puts you on the back foot a little bit. So use and abuse your abilities as a sniper to wipe them out as much as possible. Use the proximity mines and planted mines where you can to prevent enemies from reaching you. Although, as I say, in this particular section, you're better off putting as many action points into damage into the Hydra's head, and that should bring you to the end of the boss fight.
Stay alert. Don't trust anything until you see Ukkon dead.